Scene script. Have you ever wondered what keeps a healthcare system running smoothly and efficiently? The secret lies in the details, specifically the policies and procedures. Imagine a bustling hospital or a busy care home. There's a rhythm to the chaos, a cadence that guides the flurry of activity. It's like an intricate dance, choreographed down to the tiniest detail. And the maestro behind this dance? Policies and procedures. Now you might be thinking, policies and procedures? Aren't those just boring paperwork? Well, you couldn't be more wrong. Policies and procedures are the backbone of any organization, and they're especially crucial in the health and social care sector. Let's start with policies. They're the guiding principles that steer an organization. They set the standards for behavior, performance, and decision-making. They're like the roadmap for a journey, marking out the path to reach our destination. On the other hand, procedures are the step-by-step instructions that tell us exactly how to get there. They're the detailed directions that ensure we don't lose our way. They lay out the what, when, where, who, and how of every task. Together, policies and procedures ensure smooth operations. They keep the wheels turning and the gears shifting. They provide clarity and consistency, reducing miscommunication and confusion. But their importance goes beyond just keeping the lights on. Policies and procedures protect the rights of patients and staff. They ensure fair treatment, respect for dignity, and adherence to ethical standards. They safeguard against malpractice and negligence, providing recourse in case of violations. Moreover, they ensure compliance with regulatory requirements. In the UK, the health and social care sector is governed by a complex network of laws and regulations. Policies and procedures help organizations navigate this maze, avoiding penalties and ensuring quality care. So it's clear that policies and procedures play a pivotal role in the healthcare sector. But how do we go about developing them? The first step in developing robust policies and procedures is identifying the need for them. Now, why is this so crucial? It's because policies and procedures work as the backbone of any organization, especially in health and social care. They guide actions, ensure consistency, and help maintain high standards of care. But how do you know where you need new or updated policies? Well, the answer lies in understanding the existing gaps and needs within your organization. You see, every organization is unique, with its own specific challenges and requirements. So it's important to keep an eye on the ground, observing day-to-day operations, and listening to the people who make your organization tick. Feedback is a goldmine of information. From staff members, service users, to stakeholders, their input can provide invaluable insights into areas that might need attention. Similarly, the analysis of incidents, both good and bad, can reveal patterns and trends that might suggest the need for a new policy or an update to an existing one. It's about being proactive, not reactive. By identifying potential issues before they become problems, you can create policies that are timely and relevant, ensuring that your organization continues to deliver high-quality care. Once we have identified the need, it's time to dive into some research. This will form the basis of our next step, which is drafting the policy. But more on that in our next scene. With the policy needs identified, it's time to roll up our sleeves and start researching. The research phase is crucial, as it lays the groundwork for the entire policy. It's not just about what we think might work or what we've done in the past. It's about looking at the broader landscape of health and social care, understanding the best practices, current trends, and legal requirements. Let's start with best practices. These are strategies and techniques that have been proven to be effective in the field. They're not just theoretical ideas, but practical approaches that have been tested and refined over time. By incorporating these into our policy, we're not reinventing the wheel, but building on the collective wisdom of the sector. Next, we have to consider current trends. The world of healthcare is continually evolving, and our policies need to reflect that. We have to stay up to date with the latest research, technology, and societal changes that may impact our work. By doing so, we ensure that our policies are not just reactive, but proactive, anticipating the future needs of our patients and staff. Then comes the legal requirements. These are non-negotiable and form the backbone of any policy in health and social care. We need to ensure our policies are in line with the single inspection framework, as well as other relevant laws and regulations. This is to ensure we are not only protecting our organization, but also providing the best possible care for our patients. Finally, we need to draft the policy. This is where we bring together all our research into a cohesive document. The draft should clearly outline the purpose of the policy, the roles and responsibilities of those involved, the procedures to be followed, and the mechanisms for monitoring and review. Now we have a draft, but it's not ready for implementation just yet. The next step is to invite feedback and make necessary revisions, but more on that in our next segment. Stay tuned. Scene script. Draft in hand, it's time to seek some feedback. Picture this. You've spent countless hours researching, brainstorming, and drafting your policy. It's a work of art, a masterpiece. But before you rush to implement it, there's a crucial step you cannot afford to overlook: consultation and feedback. This is where you circulate your draft among staff and stakeholders, inviting them to scrutinize its contents and provide their valuable input. Why is this step so important, you ask? Well, let's delve a bit deeper. First and foremost, consultation ensures that the policy is practical. Those who will be directly affected by the policy are in the best position to understand its implications. They can provide insights that you may have overlooked and propose modifications to improve its real-world applicability. Secondly, gathering feedback fosters a sense of ownership among your team. When people feel their opinions are valued, they are more likely to support the implementation of the policy. This collective buy-in can significantly smoothen the transition and enhance the overall effectiveness of the policy. Lastly, consultation and feedback can help identify potential pitfalls and challenges in advance. This allows you to proactively address these issues and develop a more robust policy that can withstand the test of time. So, don't underestimate the power of consultation and feedback. It's not just about ticking a box, it's about making your policy the best it can be. With feedback in hand, it's time to refine our policy. Refined and polished, our policy is now ready for the approval process. This stage is critical in ensuring that our policy aligns with the organizational objectives, meets regulatory requirements, and is fit for purpose. The process begins with a detailed review by the management team. They scrutinize every section, from the policy's purpose to its implementation plan, ensuring that all aspects are clear, practical, and beneficial to the organization and the people it serves. Once the management team gives the green light, our policy might require a nod from regulatory bodies, depending on its nature and scope. This could include the Care Quality Commission or the Health and Social Care regulators. They ensure that our policy adheres to the latest laws, regulations, and best practices within the health and social care sector in the UK. With approval secured, we're ready to roll out our policy. Approval is just the beginning. Now comes the key step: implementation and training. After a policy has been approved, it's time to put it into action. This step is crucial, and it's where clear communication and comprehensive training come into play. Now, let's think about it. A policy, no matter how well crafted, is only as effective as its implementation. The best policies can fall flat if they're not understood, or if they're not applied correctly. That's why implementation and training are so essential. They ensure that everyone knows not just what the policy is, but also how it should be applied in their daily roles. Clear communication is the first step. It's important to communicate the new policy to all relevant parties. This means not just handing out a document, but explaining it in a way that makes sense to everyone. Use plain language, avoid jargon, and be open to questions. Remember, the goal is understanding. Next comes training. This is where the rubber meets the road. Training provides an opportunity for everyone to learn how to apply the policy in their daily work. It's an opportunity to clarify, to practice, and to troubleshoot. It's also an opportunity to provide support. Change can be challenging, and new policies often require adjustments. Providing ongoing support during this phase is key to smooth implementation. It's also important to remember that training isn't a one-time event. As situations change and as new challenges arise, additional training may be needed. This ensures that the policy continues to be applied correctly and effectively, even as circumstances evolve. Let's not forget, implementation and training are not just about compliance. They're about ensuring that everyone is on the same page, that everyone understands their role, and that everyone is equipped to do their part. This is how we ensure that our policy isn't just a document, but a living, working part of our organization. Our policy is now in place, but our work isn't done. The journey to effective policy development and implementation continues as we monitor, review, and update our policies to ensure they remain relevant and effective. So let's keep the conversation going. A policy is a living document. It needs regular monitoring and review to ensure it remains effective and relevant. So let's delve into the nuances of monitoring, reviewing, and updating policies within the health and social care sector. As with any living organism, health and social care policies need to be regularly checked for their health. This is where monitoring comes into play. It's like taking the pulse of your policy, ensuring it's still beating in rhythm with your organization's needs and regulatory requirements. Think of it as an ongoing health check for your policy, helping to identify any potential issues before they become major problems. But monitoring is only half of the story. Regular reviews are equally crucial. They provide an opportunity to reflect on the policy's effectiveness and to gather valuable feedback. It's a chance to ask, is this policy still serving its purpose? Is it aligned with our objectives? Is it compliant with all relevant regulations? These periodic reviews help ensure that the policy remains fit for purpose, keeping pace with any changes within the organization or the wider regulatory landscape. Now, what happens when a policy falls short of these standards? Well, that's where updates come into the picture. Based on the observations from the monitoring and review stages, the policy might need to be tweaked, overhauled, or even replaced altogether. Updates ensure the policy continues to be a robust tool that meets the needs of the organization, its staff, and the people it serves. Remember, though, that these updates aren't done in isolation. They're based on solid evidence and feedback, ensuring that the updated policy is finely tuned to the needs and requirements it's designed to address. All these steps, monitoring, reviewing, updating, they're all part of a continuous cycle that keeps the policy alive, relevant, and effective. It's a cycle that ensures the policy continues to serve its purpose, meeting the needs of the organization and remaining compliant with all relevant laws and regulations. And that, in a nutshell, is how we develop and maintain robust policies and procedures in the health and social care sector. So, what have we learned today about the policy development process? We've delved deep into the world of policy and procedure development within the health and social care sector in the UK, understanding why it's indispensable and how to make it robust and effective. Let's take a moment to recap the key steps we've discussed. Our journey begins with the identification of policy needs. This is where we recognize the necessity for a new policy or the review of an existing one, keeping in line with the ever-evolving healthcare landscape. Next, we dive into research and drafting. Here, we look into best practices, aligning our policies with legal requirements and the single inspection framework, ensuring they serve our organization's purpose, and draft them accordingly. Then comes the consultation and feedback phase. We circulate the draft among stakeholders, inviting their invaluable input and feedback, which helps us refine and perfect our policy. We then move to the approval process. The revised draft is submitted for approval, ensuring it meets the necessary regulations and aligns with our organizational objectives. Once approved, we embark on implementation and training. This is where we communicate the new policy to our staff and provide the necessary training to ensure they understand and can effectively implement it in their daily work. Monitoring and review is our next stop. We observe the effectiveness of the policy, ensuring it's achieving its intended objectives, and review it periodically to keep it relevant and effective. Finally, we have revision and updating. Policies are not set in stone. They need to evolve as our organization and the healthcare industry do. We continuously update our policies as needed, ensuring they always serve their purpose effectively. At each step, communication is crucial. We need to ensure the policy is communicated effectively to all stakeholders, especially our staff, who are its primary implementers. And lastly, we ensure compliance. We must ensure our staff complies with the policy for it to truly serve its purpose. Remember, developing effective policies and procedures is a dynamic, ongoing process that is key to the success of any health and social care organization.